Good evening there, everybody. What is happening? Hopefully, you all are having a wonderful day today. So, when it comes down to it, I thought, of course, that I would talk about this little video that I found to be very particularly interesting. And this, of course, is going to be my Tyson Fury versus Francis Ngannou breakdown. But for those of us that, of course, know that about boxing and also about that of MMA and what usually ends up happening when both career paths end up crossing with each other, or when you talk about when one steps into the other person's cage or ring, we usually know what is going to end up happening. The MMA fighter is going to dominate more than likely in an MMA fight, and in a boxing fight, the boxer is more than likely going to dominate. That's just how things are. Now if I were to, say who I think maybe would have more of a chance in what respective sport, I would probably say the boxer would have more of a chance in an MMA fight than that of vice versa, just because a boxer works nothing but with their hands. So with hand-to-hand combat in a boxing fight, they're just going to be that much smoother. I think that their torque is that much better with their punches, and I think that their head movement and the way that they move around, I just think that it's going to be a lot different than what the MMA fighters are used to. At least in an MMA fight, that when it comes to striking, at least the boxer has a chance because, of course, it always starts out on the feet. But, of course, if it ends up going to the ground, the boxer, of course, if they're untrained within that of wrestling or Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or whatever it may be on the ground, they're not going to stand much of a chance either. But, of course, this Francis Ngannou versus Tyson Fury fight, it is going to be that of a professional boxing fight. The big question is about Mr. Francis Ngannou. Does he stand a chance against that of Tyson Fury? And, of course, a lot of people would logically say no, and that certainly is understandable. But of course, a certain amount of other people may say, well, Francis Ngannou, he is an extraordinarily powerful puncher. He's the guy that I believe, at least according to Dana White and a lot of MMA fans, he has the world record for the hardest punch on the planet out of any fighter. Now, I would have to see his punch compared to that of Deontay Wilder or some of these other guys like Anthony Joshua and some of these other boxers, because I'm not really sure if he truly has the strongest punch within that of the world. Maybe it's just not been tested up against that of other fighters or boxers, but maybe it has been. I don't know. But I would like to see who would punch harder between Francis Ngannou and that of Deontay Wilder, because to be quite honest with you, just in my personal view, I would be pretty surprised if any one of Francis Ngannou's punches are harder, actually, than that of Deontay Wilder's right hand, especially within this fight. A lot of powerful MMA fighters have been in the ring with the boxers in the past, or some of them have been in with boxers in the past, and their power does not quite have the same effect as what it once did in the MMA octagon as what it does in the boxing ring. Usually boxers, they have more torque, they punch a little bit harder with that of their punches, but we'll see what happens. We'll see. Because Francis Ngannou, he is a great athlete, and he certainly is going to come here to win. I have no doubt about it. But anyways, this is going to be a little video by that of both Teddy Atlas and that of Israel Adesanya. Teddy Atlas, who, of course, is a long-time boxing analyst and boxing trainer, very colorful character, alongside that of the style bender, Mr. Israel Adesanya, who, of course, was the former UFC middleweight champion, very decent fighter himself, even though, of course, as of late, some of his flaws have been opened, to that of the public. He has gotten exposed for some of the flaws. But anyways, we're going to see what they both have to say. Let's get straight into it.
How do you think the fight plays out?
I think Fury wins unless the only problem, he's got that great eraser, Francis. He does. The one thing about the eraser, though, having that great eraser, is that the other guy that he's fighting, Fury, he don't have it to that level, but he's got a great chalkboard that doesn't erase too easy.
Do you think Fury will stick to the game plan that he's put out there?
Did he put it out there?
Yeah, Fury said that he's going to, once to put him away in the first 6 rounds, he'll be on the front foot, be in front of Francis, lightning.
We'll see about that, because Tyson Fury, you never really truly know what he's going to do. Tyson Fury always says that he's going to do this or do that, but he really always keeps you a little bit off keel and a little bit off balance, because you never truly know what Tyson Fury is going to come with. At one point in time, he might pressure you. At one point in time, he may play it a little bit different. A lot of people didn't believe him when he was coming 20 pounds heavier. He did come 20 pounds heavier. Tyson is definitely a little bit of a confusing character, but I think it's to kind of get a mental edge and a mental advantage over his opponents. Now, Tyson Fury could be telling the truth. He could be going, to pressure Ngannou for the first 6 rounds. I think more than likely that Tyson is going to carry Ngannou for a couple of rounds, and then I think he's going to probably start to go at him. Now, would I be surprised at all if the fight, ended up going to a decision, because Fury believes that he's just going to be able to outbox him quite easily, and there's no reason, really to knock out Ngannou and to give the people a show? I think so. I think that it's possible, but if I were to make a prediction, I'll say Tyson Fury stops him within about 8 rounds. I certainly think that he could stop him earlier, but I think that Tyson Fury is going to carry him a little bit. But we'll see.
Jazz wants to bust up his eyes.
They didn't say that this fight wouldn't be as enticing. Let's not forget, not only is Tyson Fury a world champion, he's a world champion promoter.
Yeah.
And a world champion promoter.
So is John Fury.
Yeah. They have to say those things. I'm not saying there's not a belief in it, but and then the 6 comes and he's in a 10, you say, gee, but you still have other people sitting in the stands, even though you didn't get that result.
Yeah.
So I think the best thing for Fury, to be honest with you, a lot of people, there's 2 ways he can go. He can walk him down and then just say, hello, Francis, welcome to my world. And just walk him down behind the gym, and boom, you got an answer for that? Boom, you got an answer for that? Oh, you can try that big bomb? Oh, that didn't work. Just take it to him and just eat his heart, eat his belief. Take that away from him. And sometimes the safest place to be with a dangerous puncher is in close, where he can't detonate that, right in close. Yeah. So that is one way that he can approach it.
Just in my personal belief, I think that Tyson Fury more than likely can beat Francis Ngannou, just like he can beat any other boxer, almost in basically any way that he wants to. Francis Ngannou is a decent striker for that of an MMA fighter. Do I think that he's going to be able to establish the jab as well as Tyson Fury? Do I think that he's going to be as slick? Do I think he's going to have as good as feet? Do I think that he's going to have as good a head movement? Absolutely not. I don't think he's going to beat Tyson Fury in any of those categories. But the big question is about Francis Ngannou, once again, is that eraser. And he has an eraser in both hands. However, that is for an MMA fight. It is a little bit different. So it would just be very interesting to see the level of power that Ngannou has, if he actually would be able to damage Tyson Fury to a certain degree, or if you could tell that Tyson Fury clearly was feeling that of Ngannou's punches. And I think that Ngannou is going to be a guy that you can tell can punch, but I want to see if he has the same one-shot knockdown or knockout power as that of Deontay Wilder. And even if he does, he may not be able to touch Fury like what Deontay Wilder did, because Wilder, even though he's not the most skilled boxer in the world, he still has been trained ever since 19 years old in that of professional boxing, or at least by that of professional boxing trainers. Francis Ngannou has not.
The other way you can approach it is on the outside with the long arms, controlling range, controlling distance, where you make Francis make mistakes and walk him into counters. If I'm forced to make a prediction, having said that, and not being prone to sit on the middle of a fence, because there's nothing to that. Anyone could do that. I would have to say Fury, will beat him. And it's up to Fury. I think this is up to Fury. It's up to Fury how serious he is about it.
It's his world.
Yeah.
Also, even with him announcing the Usyk fight.
I'll tell you what, if Francis Ngannou actually does end up beating Tyson Fury, could you imagine the look on Klitschko's and Wilder's face? Could you imagine Fury ends up embarrassing Vladimir Klitschko and Deontay Wilder 3 separate times, and these guys have their jaws dropped to the floor, when Tyson Fury, if he potentially gets knocked out against Francis Ngannou. I don't believe it's going to happen, but, you never know. And Ngannou, of course, is not to be underestimated. He is very powerful. I don't think he's going to last much more in terms of full stamina. I don't think he's going to last much more than that of 4 rounds, but we'll see.
The middle of the promotion for this, I thought that was weird, but he came out and said the promoters made that happen because he doesn't like to count his chickens when they hatch. But when he did that, in my heart, I was like, I don't think he understands who he's dealing with. Like, I've seen Francis with Stipe. Was it 5 rounds? Yep, 5 rounds with Stipe Miocic the first time. He got taken out and beat up, and when you're getting punched on the ground and there's no give, I'm talking Francis's head is on the ground. a hammer fist, boom, the force goes down, hits the ground, and back up. So there's no give, anything like that. He took some shots and never got finished by Stipe, who is arguably one of the greatest heavyweights ever. And comes back and then.
Well, Stipe is not arguably one of the greatest heavyweights ever. He is the greatest heavyweight ever. At least when you talk about that for UFC. You know, at least debatably, Stipe, in my view, would be the greatest heavyweight ever. He did have, I believe, 3 title defenses, actually 4 title defenses. But of course, he had 3 title defenses in a row, and then a 4th one when he beat Daniel Cormier. Stipe certainly was a all-time great fighter, no doubt about it. For those of you, of course, that did not end up watching the UFC, Stipe Miocic, or Miocic, however you pronounce it, the Croatian American fighter, he was a great fighter. Stipe kind of came on the rise. You know, I remember his fight against Fabricio Verdum. I believe that I favored Stipe in that fight. And that was when I didn't really know quite who Stipe was. But I saw that he had great wrestling. I saw that he had very good striking. But of course, he was able to beat Fabricio Verdum when he was champion. A great, great fighter. Who, of course, was able to submit the great Cain Velasquez. Although many people would argue that I think that it was at a little bit of a different elevation. But still, I don't really go into those excuses. But when it comes down to it, he was able to beat Fabricio Verdum. And then afterwards, I believe he was able to beat Alistair Overeem. He also was able to beat Junior Dos Santos in a rematch because in the first match they fought, Dos Santos just pulled it off. And then I believe in the third one, of course, he was able to beat Francis Ngannou. And then surprisingly, after that, he lost to Daniel Cormier, who also is one of the all-time great MMA fighters. I think that Daniel Cormier, excuse me, especially since he was a little bit overshadowed by that of John Jones, I think that Daniel Cormier became a little bit overshadowed as a fighter. But in all reality, Daniel Cormier was an all-time great MMA fighter. He actually was a very decent striker and boxer overall for his size, especially for being 5'11" and a dude that I'm not really sure what his reach is, but I'm going to guess that it's not much longer than 76 inches when it comes down to it. And a guy that had extraordinary wrestling, helped out Khabib Nurmagomedov, helped out a lot of other fighters, Cain Velasquez, and a certain amount of other fighters. Daniel Cormier is one of the all-time great fighters, and Stipe was able to beat him twice. So that shows you the greatness of Stipe Miocic.
Next fight, he got up from that fight busted after 5 rounds because he was gassed from the wrestling and stuff. He came back leaner, patient, and then took his time. I like patient Francis. Took his time to find it. But again, this is it. This is Tyson's world, and he's got the tools. But if they underestimate Francis to the degree, I hope they're not. But if they are, it's good. If they
well, Israel, stop lying. You hope they're not. You know that you're damn well cheering for Francis Ngannou to make history here. And it is what it is. Israel Adesanya has Nigerian descent, I believe. So he has African descent. Francis Ngannou, he has that of Cameroon descent. So not only do they both come from Africa, at least to a degree, when it comes down to, or at least Israel has African ancestry. But on top of that, you want to see the MMA guy pull it off. You know, and I don't really have a problem with that. Just, him saying overall, I hope that they're not, please. You know damn well that you're open that Ngannou's going to win this fight, and I don't really have a problem with that. That's all you. I understand. Do I believe that Fury is going to underestimate Ngannou? More than likely not. I think that Tyson Fury is going to feel out Ngannou and see what he has. I think that Fury is expecting that Ngannou isn't going to have much for him, but I think that he's still prepared.
Exactly. If they are, it's
another thing I also want to see in this fight is Ngannou's stamina. We all know that in the past that his stamina has not been great within that of the UFC in certain fights, and a big part of the reason why that is because he's just so damn muscle bound. Francis Ngannou looks like he's about 1% body fat when it comes down to it, which of course on the surface seems very good, but in terms of boxing, you're not supposed to have a build like that of a bodybuilder. And Francis Ngannou is a little bit too muscle-bound, especially for that of a boxing fight. I don't think his punches are going to be as fast, as what they need to be against Tyson Fury. I'm not quite sure if they're going to have the same level of power in this fight as what he usually does in that of MMA or the Octagon in the UFC. And on top of that, I need to see where his stamina goes. So if Francis Ngannou does end up winning this fight, it's more than likely going to be because either Fury just gets so wild and stupid in one of these rounds that Ngannou just hits him with a great punch, or he's just going to back him up and hit him with a great punch. within that of the first, 2 to 4 rounds. But after that, Ngannou probably is going to deal with a lot of punishment. And I get it. He's going to get paid a lot in this fight. But unfortunately, if he does end up losing this fight, I'm not sure if we're going to see much more out of Francis Ngannou in his career. But I don't completely blame him, because Francis Ngannou, he believes that he was getting a little bit shortchanged by that of Dana White. A lot of those fighters are, because a lot of MMA fighters, even the best of the best, they're not getting paid millions by that of Dana White. They're getting paid anywhere from $200,000 to $600,000. So I understand.
Again, I've seen Francis I've seen miracles happen. Like, for me, look, I'm a betting man, and I'm allowed to bet on this fight, so I know where my money's going. I'm putting on Francis, but miracles happen.
You know damn well, overall that Francis Ngannou more than likely is not going to win this fight. But I appreciate what you're doing, Izzy. It shows loyalty. I understand, and it shows that you want your boy to win. I have no problem with that whatsoever. But let's be real.
And you're getting a good line back, too.
Bro, I'm telling you, man. Shottersteak.com. Look out for the bet slip. But, yeah, so I made a big bet on this fight because I really believe in miracles, man. And also, that's my brother. So I'll go with him.
Exactly. Just come out and say it. Just come out and say it. You really want Francis Ngannou to win, but you know damn well that he more than likely isn't going to. But he's your boy, and hey, there's no problem with that. I don't have a problem with that, But in terms of smart money, would I bet on Francis Ngannou? No. Would Israel Adesanya bet his house, or everything that he loved on Francis Ngannou? No. And he knows that, but it is what it is. I understand.
Well, again, the way they've been talking about this fight, if it gets to the point where...
And your loyalty is part of your strength.
Yeah, but also, yes. No.
That's exactly what Teddy Atlas just mentioned as well, and that's what I said. Your loyalty is a part of your strength. So basically, what is Teddy Atlas stating? You're picking Francis Ngannou because he's your boy, and I understand, and I admire it to a degree, because this isn't necessarily like a boxing versus boxing style matchup, where you just predict the fight, and it's clearly very over emotional. Because this is a fight where you need to be analytical. We all know more than likely what's going to happen in this fight. We all know. So I'm not really going to go after Izzy, too hard for this.
Oh, yeah. Cool.
No, but that's part of why I'm here, too.
Thank you.
Because that person.
Yes, thank you.
Listen, to your point, at the end of the day, the X factor, you just put it up. The X factor, there's always an X factor. Is how serious did Tyson Fury take this? If he didn't take Francis serious, then a real big miracle could happen. Where he gets careless.
If you were Francis's coach, what would you be telling Francis?
I would teach. It's not what you tell him now; it's what you told him in the gym.
I mean, yeah,
this man knows that better than anyone.
Yeah. Now it's all
you
about
got a problem.
Yeah.
If you're dependent on learning something in the corner, you better have learned it before. But no, I get what you're saying. What I'm saying is that if they went over the things that they needed to go over, I'm going to tell them that I think feints is part of this. Because the other guy is more sophisticated.
I definitely think that it's a part of it. My advice to Francis Ngannou pretty much would be use feints, get behind the jab. Always try to keep your head off center line when it comes down to it. Try to pressure Tyson Fury because, to be quite honest with you, the longer that this fight stays in the middle of the ring, when it comes down to it, I just don't see this fight lasting that long, or I don't see Ngannou winning a fight in the middle of the ring. I just don't see it. If Deontay Wilder could not win in the middle of the ring without a Tyson Fury or Vladimir Klitschko, I don't see how Francis Ngannou is going to do it because I think he's going to be slower. When it comes down to it, I don't think he's going to have excellent stamina when it comes down to it compared to some of those other fighters. I don't think he's going to have the best of feet movement or foot movement. I don't think that he's going to have the best of movement. And, of course, all this is expected. But there's only, in my view, so much that you can really advise Francis Ngannou to do. Of course, there's always something that you can advise him to do, but at the end of the day, Ngannou was not a boxer.
Sophisticated in the boxing world. And what is that sophistication? Part of it is the ability to counterpunch. The ability to anticipate, right? The ability to be calm in an uncalm environment, all of that. And so when I do something, he's gonna react to what I do. So let me feint him, and all of a sudden change the whole world right there. And oh my goodness, he didn't do what I thought he was gonna do. You already got a little bit of a win.
Yeah.
You already got a little bit of a win.
Ngannou certainly could maybe try and scare Tyson Fury a little bit early on, maybe with body shots. Maybe Tyson Fury, if he comes in with the jab, maybe Ngannou, if Fury gets a little bit reckless or doesn't keep his hands up, maybe he can go over the top with the right, maybe possibly counter him with the left, depending how careless, Tyson Fury ends up getting if he does not keep his hands up. Because sometimes, Fury does get in the range, and at times he does keep his hands a little bit low, but it's not usually for very long. And it's usually to entice his opponent, I believe, to kind of get out there with certain punches. He's usually very defensively responsible. So I don't know. This is going to be interesting.
And draw the attacks out.
Yeah, and then because he thought he was just going to throw a cold jab, he was going to counter with the right hand, or he was going to step back, create a space, make him fall in.
Yeah.
Feint, and then all of a sudden he steps back and nobody fell in. Oh, this guy is a little more prepared than I thought he was.
He takes the space and puts that pressure on Tyson.
Ngannou, in order to win this fight, also in my view, he would have to be able to knock out Tyson Fury with one flush punch. And he, I'm not saying that it's impossible, but I just don't see that happening. I think that Fury is going to put too much punishment on that of Francis Ngannou. I think overall that Tyson Fury is going to be too quick and too good, too intelligent for that of Francis Ngannou. And it's going to be interesting because a lot of MMA fighters, especially, they have a little bit of a problem keeping their hands up, when they need to. And Ngannou has a lot of muscle on him, to the point to where it could be a little bit of a detriment. So once again, I'm going to be very interested to see how Francis's stamina is, how much he really is going to last within those first few rounds, and what he's like when he takes a punch from that of Tyson Fury. Because a lot of people, they think that Tyson Fury is just this pillow-fisted guy. Tyson Fury is a 280-pound man that is 6'9", and overall with an 85-inch arm reach. That man can punch. I'm not saying that he's Deontay Wilder, but Tyson Fury has a little bit of power. I would give him at least a grade of A- level power. And when he hits you with that right hand, you're going to feel it.
Yeah.
You could see it.
Or even the jab. To be honest with you, every punch that I've seen Tyson Fury land on Deontay Wilder, especially in those punches, they all look like they had an effect. The jabs were pretty much knocking Deontay Wilder's head back the whole entire time. The left hook was very decent. The right hand was very decent. Every punch that Tyson Fury lands, it has the potential to hurt Francis Ngannou. And, Ngannou, of course, he has, probably great power as well. But, it's a little bit different in boxing. So I want to see how that goes.
Yeah, but fuck, I love this shit, man.
And
this
the
is what
chance
makes it
of war.
exciting. And it's what makes it exciting. But paper can't fight paper.
No, of course.
And your official pick is?
Well, I have to say Tyson Fury. I mean, I've said throughout this whole campaign process that it's a dangerous play for Tyson Fury. That Francis is very athletic. He does have this part to Izzy's point where I saw that too in the CP fight where he showed a resolve. He didn't fall apart when there was a reason, or could have been reasons to fall apart when he was pinned down there. So I saw that strength. Forget about this strength. I saw that strength, so I know it's there. It's got to come out, but I know it's there. So if he, with his athleticism, that strength I just talked about, his pure power, and one other thing. Yeah, he's not a professional boxer. I think we know that. You don't need Teddy Atlas to tell you that. But he's been in that realm of fighting for these years. That's the most important part. People forget that. Oh yeah, but Teddy didn't box, he didn't do that. But he's been in a realm that very few people are ever in. That realm.
I understand, Teddy, but listen, at the end of the day, many MMA fighters have been in the quote-unquote realm of fighting. Tyron Woodley was not even able to outbox that of Jake Paul. And that goes to show you once again that, and I had an argument actually with my friend not too long ago, and it was right after the Sugar Sean O'Malley versus Aljamain Sterling fight, because I said that it's important to learn boxing, on top of that of MMA, when it comes down to that way, you're an all-around complete fighter. Now, of course, if you're in an actual street fight or in an MMA fight, you can't just completely go in a regular boxing stance because you might get kicked, in a certain way, kneed in a certain way. You can't duck your head the same way. But it will still show you, how to punch properly, be light on your feet, and at times move your head when you need to. And certainly be better with your hand strikes, no doubt about it. How to advertise your punches less, how to punch straighter a lot of the times. A lot of these MMA coaches, when it comes down to it, when they, teach striking, it's not really boxing. It's just striking. And there's a big difference between just striking and that overall of boxing. Tyson Fury knows boxing, and Ngannou knows that of striking. So once again, it's going to be very interesting. And that's why a lot of MMA fighters, when they get in the ring, even with someone like that, Jake Paul, Tyron Woodley, he was not even able to outbox Jake Paul. Woodley pretty much got embarrassed in that fight.
As I used the term before, where the devil knocks at the door, and either you open the door and let him in, or you lock the door and you don't let him in. He's been
now, of course, Woodley was not necessarily the same fighter that he once was, but you would think Jake Paul, a guy that is not a super duper duper experienced boxer and not the most talented boxer in the world, that Woodley, if that theory of, oh, well, he still has striking, and striking, is right up there with boxing in terms of hand-to-hand combat. If that theory was correct, then Woodley would have put up, probably a winning effort against that of Jake Paul. But boxing, once again, very, very important to add to your game, even if you're that of a UFC fighter, in my view. Of course, you're going to have to utilize it and translate it into more of an MMA version of boxing. But when it comes down to it, boxing is very important, no matter, what sport you're in terms of combat sports, because it can help you.
That realm where we touched on this earlier, where those temptations to submit, to give in, to compromise, where they've come to him. He's breathed that air, and where all of those things that can destroy people and do destroy people that aren't used to that realm.
You notice that Francis Ngannou's hands right there, and I always say this a lot, that a lot of the times they're not right up by his face, that they're right there when it comes down to that. They're right there kind of by his shoulders. And at times, having your hands up constantly or having a high guard, it can be a detriment. Sometimes, you want to let your arms be a little bit more loose, when it comes down to it. But Francis is not known for putting his guard up a lot of the times, even at times when he needs to. He's not known for having the best head movement at times. Not saying that it's awful, but he can be hit.
He's been through that. He understands. He knows how to react in that realm. He knows how to live in that realm when all these temptations come to you. When the devil comes and say, you don't have to deal with this. Here, eat this apple.
I felt it.
You know what I mean? You don't have to deal with this. And what he hasn't had as far as...
What the fuck is Teddy talking about?
in the technical part of boxing and all, he's had in the realm of fighting. In that domain. Yeah. That is the most important part. He's a professional fighter here. Yeah. And he understands what, he does.
All in all, I understand what Teddy is trying to say. I think that what he's trying to say is that Francis, that he's dealt with demons inside the ring, that he's dealt with, mental toughness, and that he's a highly disciplined fighter. And I agree, but once again, it's a completely different level of game.
Having as Fes's fireman suit on to deal with that fire that comes to you, that if you weren't in that realm, you would just get burnt up. Yeah. He does have that. And with that, and with the power, and with the athleticism, he's got a chance.
Got a chance. Yeah.
But at the end of the day, my pick would be...
I'd give Ngannou about a 5% chance. If his power can actually translate to that of the ring, about a 5 to 10% chance. If his power can actually translate to that of the ring, and he has, the same power, that could possibly hurt anyone on earth as what he did in the MMA cage, he certainly does have a chance. But I to be honest with you, just in my personal view, I don't think that is going to be that same level of power.
Fury, if I had to really do something special for you guys, to give you something a little bit more of
give it to us.
a little bit more of something juicy, I'll go back to the Buster Douglas fight, where wouldn't it be funny if the guy who got knocked out by Buster Douglas, who's helping train, not funny, but helping train Francis, if he got caught
with the same
punch.
Yeah.
You know, where maybe Tyson Fury, again, he uses the jab, he controls range, and bang, it catches the shorter man. And that's funny to say about Fran because he ain't a short guy, but catches the shorter man, you know, trying to come forward. The uppercut can be a punch that can catch you in those kind of places. So maybe that winds up being the end. But the most important thing is that we're not near the end for him. And that, to me, that's the most important thing.
Hey, guys.
Anyways, that's pretty much about it for this video. I just thought that was somewhat interesting. Do I believe that Ngannou is going to win the fight against Tyson Fury? More than likely not. Once again, I give him about a 5% chance. But we'll see what ends up happening in that fight. Anyways, that's pretty much about it. I do predict that Fury will more than likely win by knockout. I'll say within about 8 rounds because I think that he more than likely is going to carry Ngannou. I'd be a little bit surprised if Tyson Fury is just going to go in there and go full blast. I'd be a little bit surprised. I think that he took the fight seriously, as all elite champions usually do. But once again, we'll see what ends up happening. Anyways, that's pretty much about it for today. Thank you so much for watching. I'll talk to you all later.